Today we will be learning the Tunisian crochet knit stitch, and like every other crochet or fiber art project, we will be starting with our slip knot. You can hold your yarn, flip it over itself right here, hold that X between your fingers. Take your two fingers, your index and your thumb, through that loop you just made. Pinch the working side, aka the side that is connected to your giant ball of yarn, and pull through until it tightens, and that is your slip knot. Today I am using a 10mm crochet hook, and this is just so that the project is more easy to see. This stitch in particular, before I begin, I will say that it is the most prone to curling because of how it's worked. So this 10mm crochet hook, I would highly recommend to always size up your crochet hook whenever you are doing this stitch. We are going to be starting off with 9 chains. You can work as many chains as you want. It does not matter. There is no number, numerals, or anything to keep in mind for this. What I will say is that you will have to make one less stitch than usual. Now we are going to start our chains. We take our working yarn and we catch it in the hook and we pull it through that loop. That will be our first chain. Again, catch that yarn and pull it through the loop with the hook, and that is our second chain. And we continue. Nine. And again, I will say you will always work one less chain than you actually need, because this loop right here will count as your first stitch. Always, whenever you are starting, this is your first stitch. Now, we are going to take our 9 chains here, flip it over, and find all of the little bumps on the back. I use the tip of my hook right here instead of trying to stab it through with this part of the hook, just because it's easier to catch the back bumps that way. So I will slide my hook into that back bump right there. You see it right there? Slide it on through. Bring my yarn over, hook it onto the hook there, and then pull it through that back bump, and that is 1 stitch. We're going to do that again. Our next back bump right here. Insert the hook, slide through, yarn over, and pull it through that loop there. And we're going to continue all the way down until we worked every single bump. Okay. So that now we have worked our last bump right there. And if you count the stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We now have 10 stitches on our hook. And we started with 9 chains. Now, just like every other Tunisian crochet will start basically the same way. You take your working yarn right here. You pull that working yarn with your hook through 1 loop. Just the first loop. There we go. And then you will pull through 2 loops. That first loop that you work will always be 1 loop worked only, and everything else will be 2 loops right there, all the way down until you only have 1 loop left on your hook. Be careful not to pull through 3 at a time like I just did. It does tend to happen. I'm working with an aluminum hook, which is a lot more slippery. I personally enjoy that. Not many people do. If you do not like that lack of friction, then working with a bamboo hook or a wooden hook may be a good option for you. Now, for this, again, our loop right here, that counts as our first stitch. So we will skip this first loop here that it's coming out of. We are going to find that second loop right next to it, right here. You see that loop right there. Now, usually we only work this front bar and we pull it out. Now, instead of pulling it out like that, you're going to push it rather, straight through to the back. Yarn over and pull it through. Now I'm going to show that again on the next loop right here. You see that loop? You will insert your hook. You basically stab it right through the middle of that loop to the back. Yarn over so that your hook can grab onto the yarn and pull it through. And you're going to repeat that to the end of the row, or rather up until your last stitch. Now we have our final stitch here, which we will work very similarly, and you will find that loop right there, that last loop, and you will go through it, but you will also have this little yarn on the edge. So when you work through that, you will have 2 bars on your hook. Yarn over and pull through. Okay, then you will hook that working yarn onto your hook, pull it through just 1 loop, just that first loop. Then you will pull through 2 loops all the way down until you only have 1 loop left on your hook. Alright, this is how it looks so far. It looks a little funny for now. But as you keep working this, it's going to be the same thing. It will start taking shape. So again, your first loop is your first stitch. This loop right here, you will skip that and on to the next loop that's right next to it. That loop right there. You will insert your hook right in the middle, through the back, yarn over so that you can hook your yarn through and pull it through that loop. Again, find that next loop right here. Stab your hook through it, yarn over, make sure you catch that working yarn and pull that yarn through the loop. And that's your next loop. And you will continue doing that to the end of the row. Okay, now we are on our last stitch, and just like in the previous row, you will find that loop right here. You can see that loop right there. It will already form, and that extra yarn bar that goes right there, that will all be on the left side, or rather it'll all be on the side of the hook. You will push that through. So you will have 2 little bars on your hook, yarn over and pull that through. Now we are going to pull our yarn with our hook through the first loop and then 2 loops all the way down. Now my project already wants to curl up, and I'm using a much larger hook than I need to, but it is already starting to curl on me. You can see this curling right here. The longer you work, the better it'll come out, but like blocking usually takes care of that. So look so far, and I will work a few more rows so you can see the stitch in more detail. Da-da-da. I'm not sure if you can pick up the details on this, but it is meant to emulate a knit stockinette stitch. Not sure if you can see if I can get that close up. You see that right there? The little V's right there. It is a gorgeous stitch, but you can see it is already trying to curl on me. It was doing this. So this is very prone to curling. You will have to block this. That is a whole nother topic that I'm not qualified to teach, unfortunately. But yes, this is a gorgeous stitch. It's great for sweaters. It behaves like it's very soft. It moves, it flows. So this is great for like clothing and some other things as well. If you want to make a scarf out of this too, that would be great. But yeah, whatever you decide to make, it would look absolutely gorgeous. So that is the Tunisian Crochet knit stitch. And I hope you enjoyed. Happy crafting!